again, I can only say that the outlook of Hizmet is universal, and their concern is with humanity. Their charitable works, as far as I can see, are similarly inspired. First involvement in the Hizmet movement was when members of Hizmet came to visit me. Not on the tourist itinerary, not someplace that most people would go to visit, but we went there. Again, that although this is a Turkish organization, it's based in Turkey and Islamic. My name is James Frankel. I'm a professor of religion and Islamic studies here at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. I had heard of the Hizmet movement just from media years ago, but my personal familiarity began actually when some representatives from the Pacifica Institute, an organization associated with the Hizmet movement, came to visit my office here in Hawaii. I believe that was about 4 or 5 years ago now. And they introduced themselves, they introduced their organization, and also gave me some literature on the movement and on Mr. Gülen. I was really impressed when I first met with people from the Hizmet movement here in Hawaii by how well organized they are. And then I took a trip that was sponsored and hosted by Hizmet, and I was very much impressed in Turkey when I saw just how wide-reaching the efforts and the operation of Hizmet was. So I find it extremely impressive. The people that I met are all first of all, very positive, very helpful. I mean, Hizmet means service. I think that they're all very, they take this meaning very literally in providing service for people. And I have nothing but good impressions. I think from what I have seen, the most important contributions of the Hizmet movement are in the area of education. I know that this is one of the main priorities of Hizmet movement, both in Turkey and internationally. And from what I have been able to observe, visiting some of the Hizmet schools, both on the primary level as well as secondary and higher education institutions, I think that this is a tremendous benefit to common good, educating young people and teaching good core values to people. I have visited Hizmet schools in Turkey. I haven't been to any Hizmet schools in other countries, but from what I could ascertain from my visits in, as I said, both primary schools as well as universities in Turkey, I think that the level of education is very high. I was impressed by the faculty that I met, by the curriculum. I can only speculate about the operations of other schools in other countries or in these conflict zones, but if it's anything like what I observed in Turkey, I have to imagine that it's also of importance to the common good. I've had firsthand experience and exposure to some of the interfaith activities of the Hizmet movement here in the United States, in several different places, in Honolulu, also on the east coast of the United States, and to some extent in my travels in Turkey. Of course, no one could question the value of interfaith relations, especially in our complex multicultural world today. And I think that what Hizmet is doing by bringing people of different backgrounds together can only be of value to the societies where they're operating. I have participated here in Honolulu in a number of Hizmet's friendship dinners. Honolulu is by nature a very multicultural, multi-religious, multi-ethnic place, and I think that these friendship dinners fit in perfectly with the aloha spirit of Hawaii, this idea of people coming together and sharing on a very basic human level. So I find this also to be very positive. I think that the Hizmet movement's emphasis on placing Islamic culture and Islamic civilization in the much larger framework of world culture and human civilization is one of its greatest assets. My experience with the Hizmet movement is that its participants, whether they come from the smallest towns in Turkey or the biggest cities in different parts of the world, are very much at home wherever they go because they have this sense of shared humanity. And to me, that distinguishes them from other civic society organizations or civic movements in the universality of their outlook. Once again, I can only say what I know from my own observation. I have visited one of the charitable organizations of Hizmet when I was in Turkey, the Kimse Yokma charity. I was very impressed, once again, that although this is a Turkish organization, it's based in Turkey in an Islamic country, they were one of the first responders to the crisis after the earthquake in Haiti. They were inspired by the earthquake in Turkey, but they were able to take this experience and transfer it to a completely different environment in the Caribbean with the Haitian crisis. Again, I can only say that the outlook of Hizmet is universal, and their concern is with humanity. Their charitable works, as far as I can see, are similarly inspired. I've never met Mr. Gülen. I only know him through his literature and maybe some videos that I've seen. But I feel that I also know him through the followers of his movement. I feel that there has been a consistency in the personalities, in the concerns of the followers of the Hizmet movement that I have met, whether it's in Turkey or in the United States. And I can only imagine that this is inspired by the man behind the movement. So while I don't know Mr. Gülen personally, I do know his followers, and I'm very impressed by them. I think this is a good reflection on him. My first involvement with the Hizmet movement was when members of Hizmet came to visit me. Of course, they came to see me because I am a professor of religion and of Islamic studies. So actually, Islam was central to our first encounter and our engagement. The Hizmet people that I met have shared literature with me. I've spoken with them about their understanding of Islam. And what I can see is that Hizmet is interested in bringing Islam into the modern world, in sharing a vision of Islam that is universal, that is scientific, that is based on shared human values of our common human civilization. To me, this is the very best aspect of Islam, the part of Islam that has always attracted me personally. If that is what is Hizmet's goals, to promote a kind of Islam that is worldly and forward-thinking, then I agree with it. I did go to Turkey on a Hizmet-sponsored trip in 2010, and while I have been to Turkey before, this was a completely different experience than my business or tourist visits to Turkey in the past, because on the one hand, I saw parts of Turkey that I hadn't been before, but more than that, I met people that I wouldn't have met had it not been for Hizmet. I met members of this organization in every city of Turkey that I visited, and the consistency of the values that these people shared was what impressed me the most. We went to a small town in the central part of Turkey, in Anatolia, called Niğde. Very small, not on the tourist itinerary, not someplace that most people would go to visit. But we went there in order to meet members of the local community who are affiliated with Hizmet and to enjoy their hospitality. It was the overnight stay in someone's home that I think is scheduled in most Hizmet tours to Turkey. I think it's a wonderful idea because it's a real opportunity to meet people and to see how they live and who they really are. I was so impressed not only with the hospitality, the meals, the music, the activities that they had scheduled for us, but just by the kindness and the generosity of people that I had only met for 24 hours. The thing that impressed me the most was the morning of our departure. When they escorted us to our bus, the whole town came out to say goodbye to us, and they were genuinely sad. They were crying because we were leaving. And I felt it too. I felt that I had made real friends, and I felt a bond with these people that I had only known for a day. And to me, that was one of the most impactful moments of my entire trip.
I found that people involved with the Hizmet movement are just extremely positive, respectful, and committed to a certain kind of integrity and action.
And what I think is remarkable about Kimseyu is not just or only the money that's raised, it's the method with which it's distributed. And my understanding is that any country that they provide aid to, it is Turkish citizens, Hizmet believers, or people who live the Hizmet philosophy, appearing in those countries and directly handing the aid to the person who needs the aid.